One of our pick'em questions was, will Ethiopia go 1, 2, 3? And that was probably the most obvious 1, 2, 3. We looking back on it because one to get Gudov ran 3:57. She won by like 6 seconds. There's a photo. I put it in the rundown, Travis, that kind of visualizes how massive of a win she had in this race. Travis, you have the photo? I put it in the rundown. There's a tweet from Cathal. But look at this photo. She was basically already like 40 meters past the finish line. Second place is still 40 meters away from finishing. And this doesn't happen. Like this isn't a 5K or a 10K or a marathon. This is an indoor 1500. This is not many laps. And she just destroyed her two fellow countrywomen and the rest of the field. It literally was like there was two races going on. It looked like this was the pro in the field, and then it was a high school race happening behind her. Impressive run. She basically decided, I am not going to take any chances. I know I'm the best. If I just run a sub 4 minute pace, I'm going to win easily. And that's what she did. And then Ethiopia goes 1, 2, 3. Their 2, 3 also clearly were never challenged by anyone else. Americans finished 5th and 7th in this. But it was basically an Ethiopian show. And it's an interesting stat about this. This is the first time ever a country has gone 1, 2, 3 in a world indoor event. And you're like, that's kind of weird. That has to have happened before, because clearly there's times when people go 1, 2, 3 in events outdoors all the time. Well, the reason why it's rare, and this reason why it's the first time ever, is because typically you only get to represent 2 from one country in any given event at World Indoors. It's not 3 per country, it's 2 per country. But when they introduced wild cards, where you can get a third person if they're a defending champion or a World Indoor Tour champion, you have the opportunity to have 3 in one event. Like the U.S. has 3 men in the men's 60. So maybe they go 1, 2, 3 in the men's 60. You never know. So it doesn't really happen that often, but that's why it's so rare. And Ethiopia, they showed up. They go 1, 2, 3 here. I forget. They go 1, 3 in the women's 3K. Yeah, I think they went 1, 3 in the women's 3K. They went 1, 3, 5 in the women's 3K, and they go 1, 2, 3 in the women's 15. It's pretty damn good. 6 people all in the top 5. Incredible. Josette Norris getting 5th. Good run for her. But it really was just a story of 2 different events happening. There was the Ethiopian group doing their thing, and then the rest of the field. So I'm sure Norris and McLean will learn a lot from this experience. They still ran well. They didn't shit the bed and finish 10th or 12th. They competed well. They were, Norris was 0.1 away from 4th. So she was in it, but just never in it for a medal. But excited to see especially Norris, man. I mean, McLean has already made a world team. She obviously made the Olympics last year. So she's had this experience. But for Norris, this is the first time she's at this stage. She's had this incredible journey. And I'm sure this 5th place finish indoors is going to be a mental reminder for her. She goes up against the U.S. trials outdoors and maybe makes another world outdoor team. And it's just you need these reps before you're able to actually compete for medals. But hey, 5th in the world. If you told Josette Norris in 2019 she was going to finish 5th at World Indoors in 2022, she would have called you crazy, laughed at you, probably ignored you. A lot of things. Maybe slapped you. No, she wouldn't have slapped you. She would be like, oh, yeah? Well, tell my coach that, because they don't believe me yet. But, or something like that. But it's incredible to look at someone from 3 years ago and be like, you are going to become here. And it's just an incredible trajectory. So big ups for Norris getting 5th for USA. Moving on.